Hey there, and welcome to Dealing with Job Loss with Carrie Twig. So, this class is going to give you some information about how you can deal with the job loss, especially job loss that is unexpected. So, I'll tell you a little bit about me, and then we'll dig into how you can deal with this new experience that you're having. So, Carrie Twig, I'm a career coach, and I have been working with people, just specifically with people who have experienced job loss for the last 7 years. Usually, I do that as a career transition consultant. So, companies will call and say that they're going to let someone go. They'll say, we're going to let someone go Tuesday at 3. And then at Tuesday, around 2:30, I would arrive, meet with the HR manager, usually hide around the corner as they delivered the news to someone that their job had been eliminated and that they had lost their job. And then the company they would notify the person, and then I would meet them immediately after. So in my experience, there's a whole range of experiences and emotions that someone can feel on that day. And there's some things that you can do to, make it feel better for yourself. So today's what I just want to do is that right now, especially during COVID-19, so many people are experiencing job loss, but they don't get career transition consultants. And there's just, I feel like, a wealth of information about what you're supposed to do that has to do with job search that doesn't, sorry, my lamp is bothering me, isn't that helpful? If you haven't first dealt with the loss. And so I'm going to treat this as if, hey, we just met, and hey, you lost your job. And this is what I would say to you. So we're going to cover a little bit about the career transition, about a model of change for it, talk about the first things that you can do, some internal actions and some external actions. I'd like to introduce you to the 10 possible selves activity. I'll show you a method for figuring out your career stories, and then we'll do a little bit of question and answer. So there is this model of change, and it was created by William Bridges, and it doesn't look like this. It doesn't look like this. It does not look like this weird happy face thing. What it looks like is like a, maybe I can draw that out for you. So actually, and you probably, if you're looking up any change stuff, you're seeing it right now. Okay, so it looks like, oh, the light doesn't let you see that well, hey? So it looks like this. Yeah, right? So it looks like this. So this is kind of where you were before the job loss happened. And then this will be at the end when all of the change is done. And basically, all the stuff that happens in here, so things that are really common to feel, and you can like raise your hand, let me know, are you feeling any of these things? But some things that are really common to feel are fear. So a lot of people feel scared. So scared about how they're going to make money, scared about what they're going to do next, scared about like not understanding what their skills are. What does an interview? Do you need a resume? Lots of things to feel fear. A lot of people feel mad. So they're angry. Why me? Why now? Why in this environment? Sometimes people have given up incredible things, and then they don't get to do those incredible things because they don't get to do these incredible things because of the job loss, and so they're mad about things that they and have lots of regrets. So regret is another one. A lot of people feel really sad because you've experienced a loss, right? And it's up there with like losing a person or losing an important relationship. Job loss is significant, right? And some people, oddly enough, some people have glad. So some people, I've met with people. Remember, I once met with this woman who I walked into the room, and the manager thought she was going to have a really bad reaction. And I walked into the room and she's just glowing. and I was like, oh, I wasn't surprised. I'm surprised to see you so happy about this. And she said, yeah, I've been wanting this change for a long time, and finally, it's happened. And there's some things that I've always been wanting to do, and this allows me to do it. So she felt, um, yeah, the job loss actually made her feel happy, made her feel glad. There can be all sorts of, so most of those are kind of negative reactions, or what we would classify as negative. So they're all here. And on the other side of that is stuff where you start to feel hopeful, where you feel joy, where you feel um, yeah, hopeful, joy. You feel well, sometimes even just like neutral. You might even feel excited. You might have some enthusiasm. So you have these things that are more usually more pleasant experiences. So it's like this. And even though the curve starts with um, like this fear and goes down to all these, it's not like you feel fear and then you feel regret and it works. The way that it feels while you're in it is like it's all over. So the hardest part the hardest part about job search is that you know what you had before, you just don't know what you have next. And when you don't know that it's going to happen, that you're going to land, it's this limbo that feels really, really uncertain. Because I meet with people who are in job search, and they're like, I could just relax, I could just chill out if I knew, if I could trust I could get the job. Um, so that's the hardest part, and that is the theory of change. Now, within all of that, though, we really need to, within all of that, you really need to be going through all of the emotions that you're going to feel without blocking them out. And everyone goes through all of the stages. The biggest difference is how quickly you go through the stages. So some people race through the stages. Um, and, I've met clients who experience job loss. They have a night, they cry it out. The next day, they're ready to go. And I have other clients who experience job loss, and it takes them months of so much work and so much kindness to themselves in order to feel even ready to put themselves out there. That can be really hard if you need to find work really quickly. So I'm going to teach you some ways to deal with this, to go through the stages, maybe at a quicker level. So the first things that I recommend doing to start, the first things that I recommend to do that are external is, the first one is find your people. So find who your people are that you are going to talk with, and who are going to help support you, who you can throw and bounce ideas off. Find that person. Because one of the, like, you can't keep the experience all bottled up. So you need to talk about how you feel about the job loss. And you probably have to talk out some ideas about what you're going to do next. And you need some people there. And really, people, it could be people who don't even know you, so that they're a bit neutral, but definitely not people who set you off, right? So you want to find these people. So some people end up, hiring a coach for this part, because they need that neutral person who's going to see them, see they're awesome, and help them figure out the next thing. Some people already have a fantastic network. They have, they already have incredible people. So first step is find your people. And what you might want to do is just start to set up maybe accountability calls, or just set some dates when you're going to meet with your person. The second thing you want to figure out is your finances. And there's two dates that you want to know when you look at your finances, and that's your want to work date. So when do you ideally want to be working? And what are your need to work dates? And those are two different dates. The want to work is, hey, I want to work right now, right? I don't like this feeling. I want to earn money. I want to work right now. So you might say that you immediately want to work. Most people set it for a couple weeks or a month from now, but it depends on your finances, and just be realistic about where you are financially. And then you want to figure out your need to work dates. So that's when, if you don't have a job, it's going to start negatively affecting your life in a more serious way, right? So starting to lose possessions, starting to have to change a lot of your quality of life. So when you look at your finances, you just want to figure out, when do I need to work? And you want to figure out, when do I need to work and what do I want? For some people, it's going to be the same date. Some people are like, I need to work now and I want to work now. And then the next thing that you want to work on is exercise, is starting to do something physically. And I don't care if it's like, just doing a couple of like push-ups at your house, whether it's a daily walk, it doesn't really matter what it is, but you need to start to do some exercising. And that's because exercise is just incredibly healthy for you. And if you don't, you're going to hold all that stress and rejection within your body. And that's not going to help you look better when you're out there interviewing and talking to people. So you want to find a way to just process that. And sometimes you can process, I'm just shaking it out, but you can process so many emotions just by doing some exercise. So those are the practical first things to do externally. I would add in there, depending on your situation, some people need to maybe even review their like the documents that you got when you experienced job loss. Because if there are some documents in there that you need to bring to a lawyer, then absolutely look into that. But at the same time, get these all into a good place. So those are like the external facing world. Internally, there's things that you want to do too. So one of the most helpful things that I know that people can do for themselves is just be honest and actually name the loss, right? So grab some paper. We'll just take a moment now. But because so many times I think what happens is that with job loss is you think that it's just the job that you lost, but you actually lost a lot of other things with that. So when you think about it, let's just list everything. And for some people are like, this is a really sad list, and that's okay, right? Like it's okay that this work is sad. And sad is a human emotion, right? And it's totally normal. But can you make a list? Just take a couple minutes now. Can you make a list of all the things that you lost when you lost your job? Yeah, what else did you lose? So when I run this workshop live in a room with people who've just experienced job loss, some things that they say is that they've lost their identity. They'll say, yeah, like my job was was who I am, like who I thought I was. Some people will say, lost income, lost a sense of identity, lost a commute, lost friendships, lost their social life. They lost their daily schedule. Some people say they lost the meaning in their life, right? And I just encourage you to write it all down. So because so many times as you're processing the loss, you'll think you'll be okay and you'll be walking or talking, and then bang, a memory or a thought comes to you that you go, I'm going to miss that too. And when those pangs come up, just write them down. Because what can happen is that if you feel the pangs and you hide it and you don't do anything with them, you start to kind of build a wall around yourself, this protective wall, because it's not a good feeling to realize all the things that you lost on top of, income and a sense of identity. Um, that one way of not being scared of that is to write them down, because then when they come up, you can just go, okay, I know what to do with this feeling. I'm going to write it down. And different people do different things with their lists. So some people burn it, right? They're just like, when they feel like they're ready to start taking action on thinking about the future, they take it and they light a candle, they do a little ceremony or a little ritual, and that helps them to just go, okay, that time is done, now on to this new thing. Some people just keep the list in a notebook for a while. Some people who want to like negatively charge or positively charge it, so they take all the things that they've lost and then try to usually crumple it into a ball and run fast with it, or do something energetic with it to try and attract those things. And then some other people will look at the list and then think of ways that they're going to replace it. So if they go, okay, I've lost my sense of identity, how am I going to replace that? And they think of how during their search and how in their new job, they're going to get a better sense of identity that maybe isn't tied to actually being employed. And then for income, they'll go, how might I live richly even without money coming in? So that might be, resetting their budget. That might be, looking at a side hustle or some contract work. I don't know your situation, right? For the for the commute, if someone was used to driving every day, riding their bike every day, and they know they don't have that, could they plan a daily errand or daily activity that got them out of the house? So for everything on the list, you could also identify how you might fill that gap so it doesn't feel so huge. Writing it down is really useful because it helps you to figure out and see just how mass the loss is, right? The second thing is just like, man, you got to be just incredible. Oh, I had a whole slide on name the loss. There you go. Be a running list. So the second thing that I suggest is to just feel the feelings as they come. I once had a client um, who just was not interested in feeling the feelings. He was like, I don't have time to process this, Carrie. I just want to find a job. So we skipped right ahead all the feeling stuff and we moved right into resume writing. Wrote a great resume. He got an interview, went to the interview, and then he said that he went to the interview and the feeling that he had in the interview was very, very similar to the feeling he had when he was notified about job loss. So he's sitting there, that feeling returns, which I think is a feeling of not being in control. And he panicked. So he got asked a question, middle of an interview. He panicked and he didn't know what to do. So he just got up and he left. And of course, he didn't get that job. And he went, what happened? And I was like, the thing that happened is that you didn't process any of those feelings. So you're carrying around all this hurt and rejection, and you're allowing it. It's going to pop up when you're not ready for it. So if we feel the feels now, it's not going to feel, they can't hurt us as much going forward. So I'm going to teach you a little way on just how to feel the feels, and you can feel all sorts of things, right? So let's bring ourselves into a comfortable seated position. If you're sitting in a chair, you can just bring your legs up and be cross-legged if you want to, or if you can sit on the floor if you want. And we're just going to take a moment to lengthen your spine. Relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. And just notice where your attention is right now. So, is your attention on future plans? Is your attention on sounds in the room? Is your attention on your body posture? So just notice where your attention is naturally. Then I'm going to slowly invite you to pay attention to the lower half of your body, to where the body touches the ground or where the body touches the chair. Get really interested in how the body touches the ground or the chair. Notice how, notice where the foot makes contact with the ground. Is it even in both feet? And if you get distracted by other thoughts or plans or feelings, just bring your attention all back to where the body touches the ground. Really interested in the feet, the buttocks, maybe parts of your legs. Starting to feel heavier and more grounded as you pay attention to where your body touches the ground. Now I'm going to invite you to bring your attention even more inward. And just notice if you're feeling any emotions right now, negative or positive. And as you notice an emotion come up, we're not going to dig into it or judge it. We're simply going to notice that we're having it. We're going to label it feel. You can be really curious about it. How much space does it take up? Where might it live in your body? But just notice if you're having any emotions. And if you are, label it feel. So, this is one way as you're coping with your loss of being aware of what you're feeling in a moment, not feeling like you need to turn away from it or deny it, but you can simply notice that you're feeling the feeling and you can feel it almost like you're not involved with it, you know? Right? And I invite you to open your eyes. So that's something that you can do as feelings come up, is just starting a simple meditation practice of just being aware of what you're feeling, maybe naming it and allowing it to come without getting too involved or letting it cause a huge reaction to it. um, but just feel the feels. And the more you feel the feels, usually the lighter and less scary they get. It's when we try to, avoid all feelings that we get a little bit more lost. And then the third thing that you want to do is just be so incredibly kind to yourself. And there's like lovely ways that you can do this, but one is like meditation, which is just giving yourself a break, you know, even just then what we did, paying attention to the lower half of our body and our feelings, is giving ourselves just a break from all the planning and regretting and worrying that we do. So that's lovely. Another thing can just be self care. And some people, self care is just letting yourself go to bed or giving yourself a break, but making sure that you are surrounding yourself with self-love. Job search itself is stressful, whether there's people who are employed, who have steady incomes, who are in job search mode, and they find it so stressful, and they have a safety net. If you've experienced job loss and you're about to put yourself out there, you have to take care of yourself, right? Because it comes with it comes with having to put yourself out there, and it comes with facing um, rejection, opportunity too, but a lot of things that we work really hard to avoid. So if you're not loving yourself and taking care of yourself, what you put out there may not be the best that you can. And then another way of being really kind to yourself is to give yourself credit for what you've accomplished in your career and start to share that. So that can be an act of incredible self love. One way that you can figure out what your accomplishments are is by figuring out your career stories. So, this is the way when I work with clients to help them figure out what makes them awesome. And this is the method that we use. So, what we do is I say, get a pack of like index cards. Um, and starting today and for the next 7 days, I want you to write down a story of work that you're proud of. So, just like take a moment. Maybe you can do that breathing into your bottom business. And then just go, when was a day I left work and I felt really proud of what I did? When was a day that I um, felt like I made a difference? And just allow those memories to come. And when one that you're really proud of comes, just write it on a card, just a simple index card, write it down. And then the next day, do the same. After 7 days, you'll want to identify the skill that you used in each of the stories. So, for example, if I have this story about this dog. So, once I was working at a community center teaching an art program, and the day I arrived, the kids were outside and they had this dog. And they said, Carrie, we can't come to art class today because we have this dog and no dogs are allowed in. And I said, well, we'll see. And I went inside and found the executive director and asked if I could have permission to bring the dog inside and said, the dog is tame. I'll clean up any messes. And she said, okay. So brought the kids inside, brought the dog. We're inside community center, and we were supposed to draw self-portraits that day, and that wasn't going to happen. So I said, okay, let's draw portraits of the dog. So I had all the children drawing pictures of the dogs, and then I said, all right, and I put my cell phone number, and I put lost dog on it, and I found some tape, and I made a leash out of a skipping rope. And then the children and I and the dog went around the community and hung up these lost dog posters. And eventually we found a woman who would take the dog in. And after that, I had really high attendance, and the kids, we did amazing art because I had built trust. So when you listen to that story, what skills did I use? What skills do I demonstrate I have in that story? So if the skills that you think I had were problem solving, creativity, thinking on my feet, advocating, building trust, all of those are all things that I did, right? So that's what you want to do is you want to go through your stories. So if I had like a dog story, on the back of it, I want to write down all the skills that I used in that dog story. And I want to do that for every story that I had. And then I want to look at, kind of flip them over and look at all the skills on the back of the card and go, what skills keep popping up over and over again in all of my stories? What skill did I keep on doing? And when I find the skill, so you probably will find that there are usually for most people 3 to 5 skills that are mentioned on almost every card. Those become your super skills. So give yourself the credit that you did amazing things in your career, and then figure out what 3 ones you want to sell about yourself. So you can say to yourself, I'm really super at, and then name skill 1, skill 2, skill 3 that come from your career stories. And that's going to give you, like, as you're doing the self-love stuff, as you're being kind to yourself, as you've got your finances in order, if you do this at the same time, you're just getting a little bit more of career clarity. And career clarity allows you to be more confident when you reach out to people, and you can say, hey, just lost my job, I'm looking for something new. The things that I bring is I know I'm really good at this, and this, which is way better than, hey, I lost my job, I don't know, I'll take anything. Because that career clarity, knowing what you're good at, is so attractive, and it gives a message that you're ready to get back to work. If you give a message of, I don't know what I want, but I know I need to work, you seem a little desperate. And desperate, especially right now, is a hard sell because most companies are not in the place where they can nurture that. They're in the place where they need to move things forward and they need to make things happen, and they need to have people who know themselves and their value to make it happen. And so one of the best things that you can do is starting to figure out these skills. Even if you don't plan on looking for a job for a couple of months. Because if you know this, you can start to lay the seeds, figure out where you could possibly use these skills, but figuring that out will make a huge difference in how you feel about your search. And then once you know that, the next step is to just kind of figure out, well, who am I now? And what could I be now? Like, what could my possible selves possibly be? And just do an exploration of what your 10 possible selves are. So the 10 possible selves activity is where you get, like, I'll make a list, and you just want to write down a list of, like, so label it 1 to 10. And then you want to write down some possibilities of jobs that you could do. And they might be what you were doing before. So if you were in HR, maybe you'll write like HR manager, but maybe you could go into learning and development. Maybe you could, open an online shop. Maybe you could be a consultant. So just write down 10 different things that you'd like to be or like to try. And just write it down on a list. And then after you've written it, just go, which one I'd like to try? And then circle it and then go and see if there's a way that you can talk to people and investigate this, right? Sometimes, even with the 10 possible selves, sometimes it's not even about a job title, but you might go, hey, you know what? I think I want to be the same thing that I was before, but I think I want to change the way that I appear. And so that's something that you can even do within your house, right? So what I would even recommend is here, I'm going to stand up to do this. Is that if you decide you're like, I want to do the same thing, but I want to be like a super confident person, then you can absolutely do that. I'm going to show you just like I want to be a person who shows confidence. So we can do that by starting to get it into our bodies. So stand up. And first, let's just think about how we're holding our bodies, right? So sometimes we are holding our bodies in really weird ways because I don't know why we do it, but we hold ourselves in weird ways. So and we can give off a message. So as you're exploring those things and talking to people, you could be giving off a message that's not that great. So you actually want to be checking in with your body to figure out, what self are you even putting out there. So I'll show you some extremes and then I'll show you what a neutral one looks like. So stand up, take your feet and put them really close together, like toes touching, and take all your weight and put it towards your toes. Then that's going to make you kind of start to lean forward. And that forward motion is going to start to go into your hips, right? So then your hips are going to kind of go forward. It makes your butt kind of stick out. And then let that feeling start to go up your body, which naturally kind of causes your body to roll forward. So your shoulders are slumped, your head goes down, you'll be like this, or you might want to like cross your chest. So if you just found me now and you saw this pose, you would be like, she's doesn't seem that positive and she seems a little bit closed off. And if I'm spending my whole day as a job seeker just telling this story and being closed up, I'm not ready for big things to happen in my life. Okay, shake it off. Okay, now take your feet, put them wide, right? Take them wider than your hips. Take your hips, pelvis, move that forward. Oh, yeah, right? Take your shoulders big. Yes, cool. We'll go like this. So when we stand like this might seem to like take up a whole room. It feels, some people might say confident. It's not confident, it's overconfident. It's not giving off a vibe that feels really like incredible or awesome. So some people feel like they have to walk around bigger, right? I'm not affected by job loss, no big deal. I'm not feeling any feelings. And this can be just like a not great feeling. And this can be you not dealing with your stuff. And if you show up at a job interview, even if it's on a video call and you are just like bigger than life, this doesn't give an impression of somebody who's approachable to work with, someone who's flexible to work with. And right now, approachableness and flexibility are so important. Okay, shake that off. Okay, now take your feet about hip distance apart. Hip distance apart. Take your pelvis, make it kind of neutral. Shoulders, bring them up, roll them down. Nice, do it again. Right, head forward, nice. So this is, I know the angle's weird, but this is a really nice neutral pose. And you want to carry this neutral pose even down to when you are, even when you are getting ready for a job interview. Like, let's hold this in our body. And so this is a way of even embracing, what a person who feels confident feels like. So I strongly encourage you to like get some of that positive feeling, and maybe one of your possible selves is a person who does job search without feeling too stressed out. And you're like, I'm going to be that possible self until I can land this HR job. And that is totally fine too. So, yeah, that's another activity that you could do. And I think the last thing that I just want to remind you of is that it is absolutely 100%, maybe more than 100%, okay to be awesome. Some people get into the place where they start to not feel great about themselves. They don't feel really great about their skills. They try and hide. They feel like it's too braggy. And the worst thing that you can do right now is just be so humble that you don't share that you are open for new activities and you don't share what your awesome is. And you really want to be able to do that. If you can't share and tell people what makes you incredible, it's really hard for them to offer you opportunities. And so I'm a big fan of just really absolutely owning your awesome. So that is all I have to share with you today. But those are a couple things that you can do to start to deal with this great loss that you've experienced. I hope that that was helpful for you. I am sorry that you have experienced job loss. You are not alone. It is super common. It is nothing to feel shameful about. It's a very normal and common thing, and just letting you know it's absolutely okay to feel the feels, and then figure out you're awesome, and then go be it. Okay. Good luck. Best of luck in your job search. If you enjoyed this, you might enjoy my other videos that are shorter, but they are all about like resumes, cover letter writing, LinkedIn, all of that good stuff. But this one was just specifically for someone who had just experienced job loss. Okay, thanks for watching. Okay, bye.